What is up, fuck faces? We are back. Episode 20. That's right, the big 2-0. And guess who's not here to do the intro because he got something better to do, like a fucking real life job or something. Yeah, Donald's not here because he fucking sucks dick. That being said, let's just jump into it. In this episode, in the very big... Ooh, sorry about that. In the very beginning, we talk about some marathon training that I've been doing because... For the folks at home that don't know, I still am training for a fucking marathon. I've been putting in the road work. Just haven't been talking about it a lot, you know? And also, I jumped into a bunch of personal shit that I've been going through recently. I feel like it's good to let you guys in to our lives at times. You know, what we're thinking as far as the podcast, as far as what's going on in our lives, and pretty much our mindset and how we're going to process things. I feel like it's a good thing for you guys to listen to. So I'm sure people can relate. I'm sure people have gone through it and maybe can give advice. And I'm sure it's a good thing to listen to. If not, fucking deal with it, okay? Because I like to talk about myself if you haven't figured that out by now. What else did we talk about? We talked about a bunch of sports shit. You know, football's back and Dalton likes football, so we have to fucking talk about it. All right, it's whatever. Hockey's better. Speaking of hockey, Steve Yzerman is going to be a Detroit GM next year. At least that's what my theory is. We also talked about... a lot of UFC related shit. UFC 230 main event. We were conspiring to see who it's going to be based on our vast knowledge in MMA. I also talked about how I believe that Tyron versus Colby could potentially be bigger than what everybody expects. I go balls deep into my whole theory about that in the podcast as well. So that being said, enjoy, fuckers. Also, can't even talk right now. It's okay. We're fucking moving through it. We got a fucking video camera finally, so we can record our faces. You know, we want to make this shit like eventually a business and eventually a go-to as far as what our career is. And we kind of gotta, improve our shit, step our game up. And we did. For episode 21, we're gonna have camera action. We're actually gonna have videos of ourselves as long as we can figure out all the the software and all that. That's Dalton's job. I may be talking ahead of myself here, but my goal is to put as much pressure on Dalton as possible to make sure that he gets this shit going by next upload. So, fuck you, Dalton, and enjoy, everybody. Great leadership. Championships.
I can tell you're doing this one word at a time. You don't have a sentence planned out, do you?
And great stats.
No, you don't.
Okay?
Man.
Mob mentality?
Mob mentality. You see one person doing something, you see a few people doing something. All of a sudden, wow, I better start doing that thing.
They've done studies of that.
It's a thing. We're sheep. Humans are what's that word? Programmably sheep?
I forget the name of the study, but there was a study basically where they had I don't know how many people. I'm making this shit up as I go.
That's clearly.
20 people, some shit like that. And they had 10 of them that were pretty much consider them second-class citizens.
Okay.
And then they had the other 10 as first-class citizens. People, they got priority over shit. They got fed better food. They were treated better. And it was just this study that they did. I don't even know what country. I don't know what year. I don't know what was the time.
Are you sure you heard this?
Maybe I'm making this shit up. I don't even
like
fucking know, okay? Just listen.
Okay.
And the people that were the first-class citizens, some of them were actors. And some of those actors are purposely being dicks to the second-class citizen people. Like really, really rude and shit. Pushing them and just talking shit constantly.
Sure.
Demeaning them and that. And across the board, everybody started folding, learning and being an asshole just like that.
Seriously?
To the second-class
They
citizen.
all followed the actors?
Bunch of followers, man.
That's awful. Why would you do that if were they in a confined test area?
I think so, yeah.
Why would you do that if you're being watched?
Dude, what is it called? Mob mentality?
Yeah, mob mentality. $10 says that's going to be the name of the episode.
Mob mentality. The brain suppresses personal moral code when in groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I was right. The whole thing.
Yeah, that all makes sense. We just don't have the specifics like numbers and results and shit, but, whatever.
In a new research paper led by Sakara, whoever that is, a team of researchers have discovered a new insight into mob mentality. The the propensity for groups of people to shed the inhibitions of social and moral standards. Oh, God. There's some video coming up. It's loading. That just ruined my whole fucking study.
I think we get the point. So someone does something that's morally questionable, and then the people around them who are in the same position, in the same group, follow suit, even though it goes against their own morals?
Pretty much. Yes.
I wonder where that stems from. Is it all just like a...
It's because we're fucking apes, man.
Is it just a game to, like, blend in, or what?
To blend in?
Like, what's the motivation for the brain to do that?
Well, it's a lot easier to go with status quo than it is to be a rebel.
To be a trailblazer?
Yeah, to be an Ezra Bridger.
Well, that's
a lot easier.
That's the
to just
trailblazer
be,
you went with?
Empire scum. You know what I mean? Like, think of Nazi Germany.
Okay.
You think all those citizens were assholes? Probably because they're Germans.
Uh-huh.
But realistically, no. You know what I mean?
There's a couple good eggs.
Yeah, but how many of them actually, like...
Help the Jews?
Yeah, stood up for other people.
I
Not
feel
that
like,
many.
I feel like that's different because that's you're below the people making those morally questionable decisions. And if you go against it, suddenly you're the enemy.
Yeah.
So in this case, where everyone's on the same level, and then a few people on that level do some morally questionable shit, and the rest of the people on that level follow suit, what's the drive?
If the rest of the people follow suit and you're thinking that that's wrong, but you're the only one that's thinking that it's wrong. Maybe you're not the only one that's thinking that it's wrong, but you're the only one that's willing to actually vocalize it and publicly say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to do.
I guess it is, yeah. How do you speak out against the masses? You'll just get beat up.
Like, for example, when you see something going on in public and, like, maybe there's a guy yelling at his girlfriend or something like that. Mm-hmm. How many people just walk past and don't say shit?
That's a different thing. That's spectator mentality.
Same fucking shit. Different diaper, man.
Same mentality, different type, yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't do that, though. They will just walk away.
True. Well, just this morning,
Did you walk away?
Kind of. I was driving. I think I was going to get some McDonald's breakfast. You know, have to start my day off right with some proper nutrition. And
I'm so jealous.
I was leaving our apartment. Before I even got out of the complex, I see a bird. One wing just not working. The other wing trying to flap itself off the ground. It's just spinning in circles.
Fucking gimp bird.
Clearly dying. Yeah.
That's Mother Nature's son. That's the
It
survival of the fittest. What would you be able to do to help that damn bird?
You know we have that stop sign, right? That's right where it was. I stopped at that stop sign. There was no one else around. This was like 6 a.m. And I'm just staring at it. Like, what can I do? I clearly have to do something. This is one of those moments where, you know, you see online, like, I found this bird and I took it to the vet and I fed it and now it's my friend. That's kind of what I was picturing, but...
What did you do, Dalton?
I drove past it and I went to McDonald's. Because what the fuck? I don't know any veterinary, like aviary veterinarians around here.
Me either.
And by the time I got back from McDonald's, it was dead. So probably wouldn't have lasted the trip.
There was one time that I was jogging and just around the complex. And I wasn't paying attention. I'm fucking jamming out to my music. And I fucking looked down to my right and I almost like oh shit. Because there's a fucking duck or a... Mallard. I learned that from my ex. There was a mallard there just chilling, and it was literally like, I'm not even joking, a foot away from my foot.
A foot?
Foot away from my foot.
Away from your foot?
Yeah. So I was like, that's fucking close. Like, why didn't he get it? Like, run away and get scared? And I'm like looking back, like, is this bitch about to attack me? And I was like, whatever, fuck it. It didn't move. So I jog around, go back, because it's like each fucking lap around is a half mile. So I go back around, and I notice he's in the exact same spot. I was like, I had like 5 miles to do that day, so I'm just going and we're going and going. And at the end, I hurried up and called my girlfriend. I was like, come down and get some bread. Hurry. So she came down on the apartment complex with some bread, and I told him, like, there's some ducks over here that fucking aren't moving, man. And we went over there and, like, crouched down, and I put out the bread. I started throwing it to them, and they start cracking, like, quack, quack, quack. And then they start walking over to us, and we start feeding them right out of our hand. Pretty fucking dope.
I was positive that story was going to turn into you trying to feed a plastic fucking mallard. I was absolutely positive that's where I was going to go.
The reason why, and I'm assuming that it didn't move, was when I noticed that it was walking away, the back of its head was like missing all of its fur, and it was like bloody. So I don't know if it got attacked by something or if it fucking fucked himself up somehow, but he was fucked up.
Damn.
So I like to think that all those empty white carbs of sugar that I gave him,
yeah,
saved his life.
You're not supposed to feed ducks or anything bread.
That was the first time that I ever talked to the homie homeless guy too.
Homie homeless?
Yeah, there's a homeless guy that does rounds in our dumpsters. This is Detroit, motherfuckers. Okay, he does rounds in our dumpsters for returnables, and I respect that. He does his own thing. He doesn't bother anybody. That's just his daily routine, and that's how he makes money. Whatever, good for him. And another man's trash treasure type of thing.
We get it. Go on.
Every time I've seen him, like the first few times, I kind of got sketched out because he just has this blank stare on his face where he's just like, it's almost like he just doesn't pay attention. Because I've jogged right past him and he didn't even acknowledge me. So like first couple of times I jogged past him, I look back like, is this motherfucker gonna like shank me right now? What the fuck?
As soon as you pass me, he turns around.
But he was walking towards the dumpster that the ducks were by, and I seen him. I was like, all right, I gotta say something now because like he's walking close to us and whatever. Maybe he's a cool guy. And I was like, how you doing, man? He's like, good. And he was pretty cool. So every time I jog now, we see each other, we give each other a little salute, and I go on my business.
A salute?
Yeah. There was one time that he was like all the way halfway in the dumpster, his feet's like dangling out, and that fucking dick side of me wanted to just fucking push his feet.
That would have been awful. Oh my god,
dude! I was like, if that was me in that situation, and one of my friends pushed me in, it would have been hilarious. I'd be pissed, but after the fact, when I calm down, I'd be like, you motherfuckers. You know
can't do that to a homeless person that you don't know.
It's true. I do know him. We're on a fucking hello basis.
What's his name?
Homeless guy.
Homie homeless? That's not his name,
Homie
man.
homeless.
That is not his name, and that is not respectful.
Yeah. Today's jog that I just did was rough.
It was only 4 miles, you bitch. You straight up punk bitch.
Rough. Remember how I told you that it's a tempo run, which means I'm supposed to go faster than the marathon pace? Mm-hmm. Because I'm training for the marathon fuckers.
Right. Last time we talked about that was like 10 podcasts ago. I'm pretty sure everyone thinks you forgot about it.
I've been quiet about it.
I wonder why.
I've just been doing my road work. I looked it up. And a tempo run is 30 seconds to a minute slower than your marathon pace.
Okay. What's the purpose?
Just to make help your anaerobic heart beat, your aerobics. Get your cardio better.
What's anaerobic mean?
I don't fucking know, man.
Don't say words you don't know.
It says, oh, I got it right here. Tempo run. Tempo run, also known as an anaerobic threshold or a lactate threshold run.
Lactate.
Is a pace about 25... I was wrong about the minute. 25 to 30 seconds per mile slower than your current race pace.
Is that what you said?
I said 30 seconds to a minute. Like my race pace, it's my first marathon ever, so I figured 10-minute marathon average is okay. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do these at 9 minutes. And the first 2 miles that I did was 8.5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm fucking on a good pace. But that second mile was fucking rough. Like that shit started catching on to me quick, where I was like having a hard time breathing, and I felt like the lack of sleep I've gotten recently has been like kicking in.
Yeah.
And I felt like my body was draining. So I was like, fuck. So after the second mile, I walked for like a second. Then I finished my third mile, and my average went from 8:30 to fucking 9. And then my fourth mile, it averaged from like 9 minutes to 9:22. Which is okay, but I definitely need to get more sleep.
So weren't you faster than your projected race time?
Yes. Yeah, I did better than the tempo run, but in my head when I went to go jog, I wanted to average 9-minute miles.
Gotcha.
So I guess I didn't reach my goal in a way, but I'm okay with it. It's all right.
Yeah.
I finished what I wanted to do, and...
You did it on against the circumstances.
Right.
Which is important.
Right. Yeah, I need to give myself more sleep. I don't know why I don't get good sleep right now.
There's clearly a mental barrier stopping you from doing it.
Every time I go to lay down, my heart just starts to race. And I start to think about shit. And it's obviously anxiety. Mm-hmm. Like, one of my biggest fears, I've told you like a million times, but I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast, is like regret. That's like my biggest fear in life.
It's regret?
Regret.
Can you describe to everyone at home who does not know what regret is?
It's my ex.
Oh.
And I want her back.
Is your ex's name Greg or something?
Regret. Regret is my biggest fucking fear.
Okay.
And I don't want to be one of those people that, like, works really hard in one direction and it doesn't work out. And, like, I'm 35 and I'm, like...
Stranded.
And I'm not in a career path. I'm not doing something that I love. I'm, like, just, like, almost, like, saying, I will do that, but I'm doing this first. Like, putting shit on the back burner almost. Mm-hmm. That's been, like, a huge fear of mine. And I don't know if it's just because I don't like my current... like job that I'm making money with right now, or of anxiety with like the pressure of the podcast and family shit and relationship shit and just like, overall stress of life,
right,
all forming together, or if I'm just like overthinking things. Probably that.
Probably a combination.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of everything.
That's what it always pans out to be. Nothing's like a simple answer, like all you got to do is just sleep more because
Right.
you can't fucking sleep.
Right.
So what I think is if you're someone who is working so hard to try to avoid regret, I think you're going to end up avoiding the things that you're trying to achieve. That's how I feel.
What do you mean?
I feel like if you're chasing something and you're also trying to run from something at the same time, one of those things is going to work. Yeah.
One's going to give,
Yeah.
basically.
Basically.
I can see that. My mindset right now is just not overthink things. Just have faith in myself and know that as long as I continue with a good work ethic and I follow a certain pattern of success that I've seen in my role models and shit, that eventually I'll get to where I want to be. And even if it's not the destination that I deem like what I want to be successful right now, it'll be a destination I'm happy with.
Right.
I don't want to, like, the worst case scenario would be me working at a job that I don't like. Like, if I was at my current job right now, if I stayed there for like 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, and I was just content with it, and I just gave up, like, it's too nerve-wracking to try to start a new career or go back to school or try to reach out and try something different, and I just say, fuck all that shit, and I give up on it all, and I just work at that job for 25 years, 30 years, I feel like I would have, like a real midlife crisis and fucking, I don't know. Crazy.
I can get that. I think that's definitely a general fear that a lot of people have.
Right.
But have you ever heard the saying that the man who tries to avoid his fate reaches it by avoiding it? That was not how the saying goes, but
I don't know, but it reminded me of Anakin Skywalker right there.
I mean, that's basically what it is. Anakin Skywalker did not want his illegal wife to die in childbirth.
Illegal wife.
Yeah. And so naturally he tries so hard to avoid that and he ends up killing her himself. I'm going to look up the actual saying because it was worded a lot better than I did. But I get what you're saying. All I think is you're focusing more on the potential failure than the success that's like available right in front of you.
Right.
Like we're working on this podcast and you're working on your job and you're making big strides. Like a couple years ago, you were in a fucking factory. You know who had the worst lives? Factory workers.
Why do you say that?
Because they get stuck there. That's like
the golden handcuffs thing?
Basically. Yeah. Okay, I'm making $30 an hour. Why would I go take this office job?
Right.
But you did that.
Yeah, I did take the risk to go to the office job. I found out I don't like it as much as the warehouse or the factory job.
I sincerely believe that's just because of the office you're working in.
But that doesn't that doesn't mean I'm quitting in that sense, you know?
Exactly.
Like I've tried this out for like almost a year and I'm like, okay, this ain't for me. And instead of me just saying, okay, this is bullshit and get angry and fucking hate the world and being super negative at my job and that, I'm just like, okay, it ain't for me, so what can I do? And I evaluated my options and I was doing a lot of thinking of like, what do I want to do with my life? Because I have never had the luxury of knowing what I want to do when I grow up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I started doing graphic design when I was 14.
Yeah, I envy you in that sense. Like every time you've told me about your job, like even when like you first got your job and it was like a temp job and like you were telling me about it and you were like kind of like upset, like, oh, it pays like so shitty. And then like in my head I'm like, fuck, dude, like I'd trade spots with you in a fucking second, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I fell into my field right out of college.
Right. But that doesn't mean like I can never find it, you know?
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna keep trying until I find something that I like. Like right now I am doing the networking and reading about subnetworking and subnetting and software developing and shit. And I mean, it's actually really interesting. I told myself I was gonna do one chapter a week because I bought this ebook. Which, first of all,
you bought an ebook?
Yeah,
that was dumb. Let me tell you first.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
You can hear how dumb I was. First of all, I bought a book on eBay that my cousin told me to buy, and it said, "Oh, it ships in like 2 days." I'm like, okay. So I thought it was just a fucking physical book that I was gonna get in the mail 2 days. So I waited like a week for this fucking book, and I'm like, this shit ain't coming. I'm like, fuck, this is stupid. So I called eBay, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where's my book, man? And then they're like, it's an ebook, sir. And I was like, an ebook? They're like, yeah, we can send you the link for it again. I'm like, oh, okay. Send me the link.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I wasted a whole week of my life right there, pretty much.
Next time, just pirate that shit.
Well,
chances are that if you're looking for an ebook, chances are you can find it for free online.
That's true. For all the college kids out there, if you want to save some money.
Yeah. Anyways, so the saying that was incorrect. The saying was a person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it. So he tries so hard to avoid something, but you end up making
like
it
it's
worse
like a
for yourself.
subconscious fear that's like the last thing you want to do. So you're gonna try to like. That's plausible. That would suck if that happened to me. I'd probably fucking put a bullet in my head.
Well, see, now you're just trying to avoid that as well. There was like a general point I'm trying to get to, but
nope, you just got me down, bro. Now I'm gonna like.
You keep throwing out these tangents, and it like breaks my train of thought. Nick's tangents are easily my mortal enemy. Easily.
The more you try to avoid them, the more they fucking
God
come,
damn it!
motherfucker. But back to the book. I told myself I was gonna read one chapter a week and do like the terms and the summary and the answering all the questions. And there's 13 chapters in the book, so I was like, okay, take me 2 months or so to get this shit done. Then maybe 3 months, and then at the start of the new year, I can be in a whole new career field. Who knows where the podcast is gonna be? Because I ain't quitting that shit. Like I love doing this. I'll do this shit for fun.
Right.
And that seems really interesting to me. So it'll be a whole new career change, and maybe I can combine the two in the future and use my business degree to like, maybe I don't know, just fucking going on, like exploring life and shit.
Exactly. Your options are literally endless.
Right. And turns out I actually like the book. So I've already read 2 chapters this week and did the review for the first one.
Did the review.
Yeah.
Doing fucking homework.
For real. And I was talking to my girlfriend about this the other day because I was like, the fucking irony. Because I have always been the person that does not need to read their book to get an A in the class.
Sure.
I've always been the person that just listens and just gets shit pretty quickly.
I was kind of the same. You just retain the information you get in the class, and
just
you're able
good
to
enough to just
get a C on the test.
Yeah, and like you'll get A's on everything else because you just do everything, and then you get a C on the test, you still get like an A in the class.
Yeah.
So that's been like my whole, even college, like even in 300 level classes for my bachelor's degree, that's pretty much all I was doing, except for my essays. I'm a dog at writing essays. Fuck everybody who says I'm not.
I don't think anyone said that, so clearly some
Damn
insecurity
straight,
is coming straight
no
out.
haters come on my shit.
That's ridiculous.
But I was just telling you the irony that like I took that for granted in school, and I didn't read any books or anything like that. And now look where I'm at right now. I'm 24 and I'm reading a book
Out of interest.
Yeah, out of interest and desire to better myself and educate myself more, to have like a lifestyle that I want to have for myself and my family and just overall growth.
You're a fucking nerd.
I know, right? Pretty dope, man.
It is dope. There's no time limit on success.
No.
So
Jordan Peterson didn't fucking blow up until he was like 40.
So stop stressing about it.
I'm getting a lot better at it.
Okay.
I am. Just the lack of sleep part's kind of
Yeah.
fucking with me, but
Yeah.
sorry. At least I am like acknowledging that it's there, and I'm trying to work on it.
Right. That is one thing. I don't know if it's just been like our recent growth, but it seems like anytime there's a conflict, facing it seems to be our first reaction.
Yeah, you want to know when that started?
Was it the acid trip?
Yeah, it was the acid trip.
Really?
Honestly, it is.
Yeah, it really shakes your previous beliefs. I think there's things that you feel so solidly about, like so deeply rooted beliefs, and then acid just like lifts it all up, unnails it from the floor.
It makes you deal with all the shit that's in the back of your head. Like it makes you just attack it. Like all this shit that you don't want to think about, that you're insecure about, that you ignore, that you don't want to fucking deal with. Ass is like, no, bitch. It's time to deal with this shit. And the first time I ever took it, I didn't like it because I felt like I was like under attack, and I'm just trying to like have fun, you know, blah blah blah. I'm so fucked up, and luckily I took it with my cousin, and he was guiding me because he's done it fucking I don't even know how many times, and he was like, dude, like, just whatever you're thinking about, just accept what's going on and try to deal with it. So half the time I was tripping, like 6 hours of the trip, I was just thinking in my head. And when I woke up the next day, I was like, my girlfriend was like, you okay? And I'm like, I'm never doing that shit again. And I was like, that shit was horrible. I could not stop thinking.
Yeah.
But then like after a couple days, you start to realize that the shit that you're really insecure about and the shit that really bothers you doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. So yeah. Thank God for LSD, right?
Right. I only did it the one time, and we just stayed in our apartment and literally just chilled and talked, and the carpet was on fire, like waving in the wind. It was really weird. I think I was up the entire night. I had sweaty palms the whole time.
You were up way longer than I was.
Yeah, it's because of your cousin. He was chatting my goddamn ear off.
No, what was funny, or not kind of, it was
interesting,
kind of bad.
Okay.
Was my girlfriend took
her name is Sam.
Sam. She took
everyone knows her name is Sam.
Yes, she took a hit herself, but she took it like 10 hours after we took it.
It wasn't 10 hours, was it?
She was working, so at least 8
like
hours.
4, I think.
No.
When did we?
I don't know, whatever. 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever. She took
was
it
a
after us.
lengthy time,
She
yeah.
took it late at night. She took it at like 11 p.m.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, and then we all like started winding down and going to bed by like 5 a.m. And you
She was
can't
chugging along.
you can't go to sleep like that.
No.
So like the whole time she was like, I felt so bad for her. Like she was like having these like emotional breakdowns and shit in bed, and she's like, I love you so much. You're probably gonna hate me for telling this. She's like, I don't tell you enough. I'm like, yeah, you do. It's okay. Fucking go to sleep.
You're just trying to sleep.
Yeah, I'm like, fucking leave me alone.
She's like an Energizer
And I was
bunny.
like, maybe if I go to the bathroom and take a shit for like an hour.
Is that why you take such long shits? I'm convinced
Yes,
you.
that's why I take long shits, dog. When my girlfriend's taking, when she's tripping on LSD, I take long shits to get the fuck away from her.
Obviously, I wasn't talking specifically about the LSD situation, but I'm pretty sure since you grew up in a household full of really, really, really irritating girls, that you would just go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet for extended periods of time to get
Yes.
some silence.
You are right. I think that was my escape growing up.
And I think you're still doing it.
My uncle Toby, no, he told me that when I was younger, because when I lived with him for a few years, and that's when I like changed my life. Because that was like the first time I ever felt like comfortable in a home to like just do whatever I wanted to do.
Be yourself.
Yeah, and he was like that. He was thinking about it one day because he was always annoyed because whenever he had to go to the bathroom, I was always in that bitch. And he goes, I think that's your like your escape, your safe room. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you grew up with 6 sisters and your mom, and you got all your aunts and shit. And I was like, I mean, if I were you, I'd probably chill in the bathroom too. And I was like, maybe. I never thought of it that way, but
Yeah. Seems super plausible.
yeah. So what's been up with you, man? How's your daughter?
Listen, I told you not to bring that up anymore. It's a big legal issue.
Oh,
It's not quite worked out the details yet.
You just don't want to pay child support, that's all.
Who does?
You're one of them deadbeats, huh?
It's not a deadbeat. Listen, I didn't even want to have a kid with this chick, and all of a sudden she's demanding money?
For real, selfish bitch.
Anyways, so the NFL's back. Talked about it briefly last week. Talked about the big signing that the Bears made. Basically the only thing I cared about.
Did Chicago play?
Chicago did play. All the teams played.
Did they lose?
We're getting to it. So it's a pretty wild week. I'll start with some of the notables, and then I'll go into...
Just don't talk about the Lions.
And then we'll go into the interesting shit. So Philly, the defending champs, showed some fortitude in overcoming some mistakes that they made against the Atlanta Falcons, who are also
So
a
that's
really
who
good
they
team.
faced. The first game was Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, Atlanta has one of the best quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, one of the best.
Is he one of the best, or is he just
Top
overrated?
5.
Really?
Top 5. Mm-hmm. Matty Ice, for sure. And then they have probably the best wide receiver in the game, Julio Jones. He got about 170 receiving yards, which is a lot. Over 100 is a lot.
Okay.
So 170 is ridiculous.
Hey, Megatron yards, is it?
I think Megatron probably had like one of those games per year.
Really? He had Stafford throwing to him too. Well, he didn't have Matt Ryan.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they're gonna need Philly's gonna need to iron out those mistakes if they want to repeat as champions. But they did look good and they pulled out the win. So Philadelphia Eagles maybe gonna do some more, but they need to improve. Similarly, the Patriots won against the Houston Texans.
No shit, because Brady's a dog.
I mean, they actually won through the power of their defense. Brady was Brady, and he led them offensively, but their offense needs some serious improvement. Like, the tools that Brady has are sad.
Is it like old ass Craftsman wrenches that need to be replaced?
Right. And Tom is this beefy man trying to pull all the wrenches in the same spots, and he's doing pretty good.
Have you seen Tom Brady's body?
He's the peak athlete.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
He is the dad bod.
Everyone look up Tom Brady's body right now.
That's just crazy though. You can tell he don't do steroids, or if he does, he doesn't anymore, and his body's just deflated. But he's still performing like one of the best ever.
Yeah, he says he wants to keep playing until he's 45. It'll be hard, but he thinks he can do it.
If anybody can, that's
He's like
him.
seriously considering. It's not just like, oh yeah, I can play forever.
He's been trying to get LeBron James to be a fucking player on
Yeah.
the team. He probably could, dude.
That's how desperate he is on offense. If you look at their stats, it's Tom Brady with the high numbers and it's Rob Gronkowski with the high numbers. Rest of the offense might as well
Is
not be
that
there.
what they get for having two? Is there a salary cap in football?
Yeah.
Is
That's not the reason why the Patriots suck.
no? They don't suck though.
Their offense sucks. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, I doubt they'd score a point.
Well, no shit. You put Tom Brady on you put Tom Brady on the Lions. And tell me how good they would be.
Don't bet against the Lions. Or on the Lions, whichever.
Well, dude, don't bet on the Lions succeeding.
Yeah. So they, like I said, they managed to beat Houston, which is not a super.
Houston sucks, right?
They're not a super competitive team, but they're like on the up. They have one of the best defensive players in J.J. Watt.
He plays. Has he always played for them?
Houston, yeah, always. But they are going against Jacksonville in week 2, and everyone's gonna hear this on Monday. Today's Thursday for us, so the NFL games for week 2 haven't happened yet. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be a little week behind. But
we record Thursdays. I listen to it on Friday, make sure everything's fine. Then we edit, cut clips and shit. And it's a whole process, man.
It didn't sound like a lot when you described it. I'm sure you could have made it sound like a lot more.
I could have, but I wanted you to go back on your football shit.
So Jacksonville actually has one of the best defenses in the league. So Tom's gonna have to really pull out some.
Is that what
tricks.
Ndamukong Suh?
No, he's on the Rams. St. Louis.
Didn't he get traded to a Florida team? Or he signed?
Miami. Yep.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know dick about football.
I noticed that. Yes. So just keep your
I
mouth
watch
shut.
real sports like hockey.
Shut the fuck up. Anyways, moving on. The Cleveland Browns.
Suck.
Not sure how much you know
0
about
for
them.
16.
Oh, they were over 16. They managed to not lose a game
They won?
for the first time in basically forever, though it was only a tie against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's good, though, right?
Pittsburgh is pretty good. They have a good quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, another good receiver, and Antonio Brown. But Cleveland actually almost made a decent comeback, but they had a field goal blocked at the end. I feel that would have gave them the lead, so tie. It was pretty Cleveland of them to do that. So that's all the notable stuff. Now to move on to the interesting stuff. For example, the Chicago Bears. The Bears.
Who are they facing?
They faced Green Bay.
I know the answer to this one. I was going to ask you about Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay and Chicago have probably the most storied rivalry in football. Definitely up there. Probably one of the most storied in sports, honestly. And Chicago started the game with some fucking ferocity. I told you last week they got Khalil Mack, one of the top defensive players. Well, the defense stopped Aaron Rodgers in the first half. Like, stone cold stopped him. It was 20-0 at halftime. And the offense played pretty well. Mitch Trubisky, he's a second-year quarterback. Lots of excitement around him, but, he has to prove himself, right? He's one of those prospects.
Sophomore year. Better not have a sophomore slump, son.
Well, he didn't do very good in his rookie year, so can't slump if you already suck, right? Khalil Mack, in particular, played outstanding in his first half. His stat line at the end of the game was 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception for a touchdown.
Jesus Christ.
The last time anyone had a stat line like that was Khalil Mack in 2016. The guy's nuts, man.
So is he like the best defensive player? Or like top 3 or some shit?
As of week 1, I don't know who you put ahead of him, but yeah, I'd say top 3. Especially at his position. But then Aaron Rodgers came back and ruined literally everything. He threw for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and close to a perfect rating just in the second half.
Yeah, just in the second half.
Yeah. Bears knocked him out in the first half with like a knee injury, so he was playing on one fucking leg. And he beat the Bears 23-24.
How do you think that happens? Like those moments of greatness with these great people.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has a bit of a history of it. It's kind of the thing he does. So everyone's reaction to the result of the game was like, yep, Aaron Rodgers.
I think it's all that shit is earned from how much hard work they do and how much they practice and drill.
It's got to be something mental, I think. Because all these players are the best players.
Right. Well, as you know, I nonstop watch motivational shit.
Yes.
And one of the Kobe Bryant speeches that I listened to, somebody was asking him like how he has this confidence to take these buzzer beater shots and put all this pressure on himself to win games. And he said that it's because he's done it a million times. And he said it's all based off of how much work I put in the gym. He said, I know nobody's working harder than me. I've done this shot a million times. There's no reason why I can't make this shot right now. So I'm assuming the greats like Aaron Rodgers and Brady are just nonstop drilling and nonstop thinking about the game and the science behind it and just their positioning and how to run the team and how to make sure they get the best out of each player.
Yeah, I think quarterbacks in particular, they do a lot of film study. Like
And-
that's probably the work that Kobe does in the gym. I think
Right.
film study is what these quarterbacks do.
Just tendencies with different players and positioning and shit.
They could, you know how last year people were talking about how LeBron would,
Photographic memory and
yeah,
shit.
he would know the other team's plays before like better than they would. I think that's how it is. They can know and expect where the defense is going to go before they even fucking go there.
He's obsessed with it. You have to be obsessed to get that good.
You have to be obsessed to be great, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to live it.
I also think, do you think football is also momentum? Is like a momentum-based game? Like, you know how NBA games are a lot of momentum swings and shifts? Is football like that? I know, like, from when I watch the Lions and they make these last-minute comebacks like they always do.
Always?
They
mean
always
the other way
try to
around?
have, like, a last-minute hoorah.
Yeah.
And it's based off of, like, momentum. Like, you see Stafford, and he's, like, super amped up, rushing everybody. Like, when he is on, he's on. But it's just not consistent.
Right. I think the biggest momentum changer are turnovers. They're a lot bigger in football than they are in any other sport. If you think about hockey or football, or not football, or basketball, the possessions are what, 30 seconds long? Not even?
Yeah.
You have
And
the
it's a lot easier to get it back.
Right. Turnover in football, you just lost about 5 minutes of
Right.
your drive. All of a sudden, you're not going to score, and then the other team can score. That's a double-point shift. So that momentum in that sense is definitely real. And that might be why the Lions lost their game.
Dude. Lions lost because the Lions are fucking...
Lions.
I think it's the management. I think it's the coaching. And
They got a new coach. Matt Patricia.
Well, not
who's a
necessarily just the coach. I was going to say, like, the overall... Like, I don't even know the right term.
leadership.
Not necessarily leadership. Just the whole overall picture of the Detroit Lions. It's losing.
I mean, it's hard to shake that. They've been losing for fucking 50, 60 years.
The Red Wings did. They were losing for like 40 years. And then they switched it. They got shit turned around. And then they have certain expectations for their team now. I mean, granted, they're not a playoff team now, but they're not going to be like a shitty team for 30 years like they were. Or like however shitty the Lions have been.
Don't speak too soon.
Fuck out of here.
Well, the Lions...
Philip Zadina, shun.
I mean, they can be a bust easily. Well, in this game for the Lions, they were facing the New York Jets, led by a rookie QB in Sam Darnold. In his very first play against the Lions, he threw an interception for a touchdown.
For the Lions.
Yeah, so the Lions got an easy 7 points on the very first play. So everyone was like, okay, Lions.
That's like the worst thing for the
Let's see it,
Lions.
let's see it. Yeah, and then...
You never want them to play really well immediately.
yeah, that's always a bad sign, yeah. But 4 Matthew Stafford interceptions, not all his fault. Non-existent running game and shitty special teams put the Lions at a serious disadvantage going into the rest of the game.
Do we still have Reggie Bush? Does he still play?
I don't think he still plays, but they definitely don't have him. They have LeGarrette Blount, who is a former
Pothead.
New England Patriot. Somehow knew you were going to make that joke. But they did not do well. They had like a total of 30 rushing yards. You expect to at least have like 100. But
I hope so.
It was bad.
30 ain't shit.
Yeah. So Lions need to clean up all these mistakes. If they're going to do literally anything this year, they can't accept a loss to the Jets. They were a bottom of the bucket team.
Man, they got smoked.
Yeah, the Lions got smoked.
The Jets outscored, or they had the highest points
In the whole week, yeah.
in their
whole
franchise history.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that stat. Yeah, 48-17 was the final score.
48.
For a rookie quarterback, it's ridiculous, honestly.
I mean, once you get like fucking 30, and then it's like you're getting shit on, those last points are just fucking just salt on the
Stat
wound.
padding, yeah. Fantasy points.
Maybe it'll light a fire into their ass, because sometimes, like in hockey, they say in the playoffs, you don't want to embarrass the other team. Like, don't embarrass them game one. If you don't win 8-0, like, win 5-0, because next game they're going to come back that much harder. Like, they're never going to want to have that shit happen again.
You fucking amateur.
Hey, man.
Amateur!
Star Wars is more important than the
Oh my
podcast.
God.
Bonus energy,
It's not
son.
even an actual notification. So next week, the Bears face the Seahawks, whose offense should be ripe apples for this ridiculous defense.
Seahawks aren't that good anymore, right? They lost Beast Mode. They don't have Richard Sherman.
Right.
That's all I know.
They got the guy
They got-
with one hand.
Oh, yeah. How did
Shaquem Griffin.
Did they win the first game?
I think they did. Yeah.
Did he play well?
Shaquem?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'll
You
get to it
fucking
later.
just aren't doing your job then. You're supposed to be the sports guy.
Okay, I'm gonna. I played against him in Madden literally today.
What is his rating?
It's like 80 something. He's pretty good. But in the game, motherfucker has 2 hands. He got 2 interceptions on me. I was like, he can't catch that.
He has 2 hands in the game?
Yeah.
I feel like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You can't, like... Is that, like, a lot of coding to do to...
I think it is. Just the way that the players are generated.
Yeah, because they
all
like,
have the same
like a
model.
default body, you know, so they have to completely make a whole new default body with one hand, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Or just have like green screen that shit. I don't know how that works.
That's not at all how that works. No. But the biggest fault of the Seahawks is their offensive line, the guys who protect the quarterback, and the best part of the Chicago Bears defense, and Khalil Mack.
It's gonna be Sack City.
Sack City, yes, absolutely.
Is one sack a game really good, or is that like
If you can get 16 sacks in a year, that's
Like-
spectacular.
has that happened a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot. There's probably one defender per
A
year.
year that gets that?
Mhm.
Okay.
What else? The Lions are going to go up against another young QB and Jimmy Garoppolo,
Against what team?
San Francisco. So Jimmy Garoppolo was a former backup of Tom Brady. He has a lot of excitement around him as well, just because of that fact and because he's a
I
young
learned
prospect.
a lot from Brady. If Brady is giving him the time of day,
Right, which I think people did.
is he? I don't know if you know this, but is Brady a good teammate? Is he known to be a good teammate,
He's probably the best motivational leader.
like a LeBron or like a Kobe? Does he lead by example, or does he demand greatness?
I think Kobe.
So he demands
He
greatness,
gets fired up, and if you're not pulling your weight, I think he'll yell at you on the sideline.
which can be tough to deal with.
It can be tough, but like I said, it's
It's
one
one
of
of
those
motivation.
light a fire under your ass kind of motivation.
I need to
things.
get my like a kick in the ass for me personally. I don't think constructive criticism is all great and all, but sometimes you need to be like,
You gotta
"Bitch,
be hard.
get off your ass and fucking do something." You know what I mean?
You get too content with that easygoing criticism, like, yeah,
Right.
okay, I'll integrate that into my game
Right.
plan. And you do shit.
That's why I love Kobe so much, man.
Yeah, for real. So if the Lions can't beat San Francisco, I have low hopes for them for the entire season.
No shit, man. They're not gonna make the playoffs.
I mean, people expected them to. I think Detroit fans definitely did. You talk to Detroit fans, and
They'll find a way to
they'll
tell
find
you.
a way.
Dude, one of our friends was on the news with the Lions.
Who?
Connor.
Really?
He was watching the game, and I think he was downtown, and they were just interviewing fans and that. And he was just like, "It's gonna be good. We'll bounce back. We'll bounce back." That's literally all he said. You could tell he was so fucking nervous and shit, man.
Well, they have to. They have to bounce back. Otherwise, it's definitely be a rough time.
Bounce back, Big Sean style.
Mm-hmm.
I got some. Are you done with football? You
Yes, I'm done. Are
I
we
got-
staying in sports?
Yes.
Okay. Where
I
are we
got
going?
some great news.
Great.
Some fucking best news I've had all week.
Is it potentially unconfirmed news?
It's fucking news, man.
So yes, it's unconfirmed news. Go ahead, Nick. Tell us this solid news.
You know, when you think of great hockey players,
This is how you chose.
it
wasn't
all stems, like automatically it bottles down to like great leadership, championships,
I can tell you're doing this one word at a time. You don't have a sentence planned out, do you?
and great stats.
No, you don't.
Okay?
Okay.
Who's one player on the Red Wings that has all three of those better than anybody else
Right now,
of all the whole franchise history?
franchise.
There's only one that has all three of them. That has the stats, that has the leadership, and has the championships.
Gordie Howe win championships.
Yeah,
There you go, Gordie Howe.
he wasn't he wasn't known for an amazing leader.
Says who? Were you there? You don't know what kind of leader he was.
You know who was known for an amazing leader? The guy who got the C retired with his jersey. No other person has a C on their jersey when they're retired. As far as the Red Wings, I don't know about the rest of the fucking teams.
I actually didn't know that. Is that a thing for all NHL teams?
I don't know.
No C?
I assume that's the thing. No C. Like Lindstrom don't have a C. None of them do. Lindsay, Howe, DeVecchio, none of them.
I don't know. I never noticed that.
Stevie Y does.
So just Stevie Y.
yes.
Oh shit.
He's the captain
So
of Hockey Town. Son,
Stevie Y, this Detroit legend who is
the GM,
the GM of Tampa Bay, right?
former
You say?
GM of Tampa Bay.
Oh, is this the news?
He stepped down, man. He's doing a senior advisory role now.
Okay, so he's taking a step down for
Yes.
someone else to take his position.
Yeah, the assistant GM has taken the position. I forget his name. Some people say that like there's speculation. The top three things of speculation is like number one is he's coming to Detroit to be the new GM. Number two is like he wants more time for to spend with his family. And number three is he sick? Is there something wrong with his health?
Right. But it is all speculation.
True, but Joe Smith, who's a reporter for Tampa Bay,
Okay.
said on his Twitter that Yzerman told some of the Tampa Bay players that he's coming home to Detroit. Coming home to Detroit.
Where his family lives. to be with his family.
Yeah, where his
naturally.
family lives, and where he like lived half his life and is like fucking
Sounds like
praised,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just a team here in Detroit that he's a little related to. You know what I mean?
Seems like a good place to come and retire.
Seems like a good place.
Hang up the proverbial skates. That
Seems
he's no
like a
longer
good
wearing.
place to go and build an even bigger legacy.
No,
for
that's not where I was going. No. See, that's the unconfirmed news I was talking about.
Steve Yzerman, in the past 8 years, has been one of the best GMs in the NHL, bar none.
Fair.
If you think of some of the trades that he had to make and some of the positions that some of the players got him in,
Mm-hmm.
and how he's been able to deal with cap space
Mm-hmm.
and signing all these superstar players for like relatively cap friendly contracts,
Right.
it's unreal. It really is. Like Martin St. Louis was super fucking salty that Yzerman didn't pick him to be on the Canadian team
Mm.
and for the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
and he let everybody know, and he demanded a fucking trade.
Can you get?
He did, yeah. You can demand a trade, and he was the captain of Tampa at the time, and it's kind of hard to get a lot for somebody when
They're demanding.
when they're demanding a trade, and every other team knows
Yeah.
that you need to get rid of him.
Your value drops immediately.
Yeah, because first of all, it's a toxic environment in the locker room immediately when you have your own captain of the team that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And the morale of the locker room is going to go down. He's not going to perform as much as he wants to, and it's just an overall shitty situation for everybody involved.
So it ends up being like a lose-lose situation for
Right.
Tampa Bay, where they lose their captain, or captain stews and makes a fucking mess out of the locker room.
Right,
So they're kind of coerced into taking whatever deal is presented to them, right?
right. But Stevie Y was able to get New York Rangers captain at that time, Ryan Callahan,
Mm.
and a first-round pick.
Jesus.
Yeah. And Martin St. Louis was like 38, 37 at the time. He was retiring in 2 years
How the fuck?
because they were going for a cup run, and a great fucking player and leadership for the locker room is something that people could desperately need.
So we chose the perfect right target.
Yeah, and also Ryan Callahan was in the news at the time saying that he wants a lot of money, and like he's like pretty much, Abby, a grindy player
Yeah.
that can score 20 goals if he's having a good year.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Callahan is Abby but better.
Mm.
He'll score sometimes 25, get a little bit more assists,
Right.
and he's a leader. Abby's a leader too. I can't lie. He's been an alternate, and he was able to get him and a first-round pick. And New York Rangers were gonna try to sign him for like a $6 million deal, and he was like, "No, I want $8 million or $7 million, some shit like that. Something a little ridiculous for his role and his positioning."
Mm-hmm.
But Tampa was able to not only get him, they were also able to sign him extensions for cheap.
How does
So-
it work? Is it just like the Stevie Y magic? Like people come have a meeting with him and like, oh, it's Yzerman. Okay.
I don't know. He convinced Stamkos to stay in Tampa instead of going to Toronto like Tavares did.
Mm-hmm.
He's signed Hedman to long terms. He signed Kucherov to long terms. He's built a fucking foundation within that team. You got like some of the best offensive players in the game there that are dynamic, that are young still, and they're all signed to decent contracts.
Mm-hmm.
You got Victor Hedman, who's one of the best defensemen in the NHL, who's still young and is growing. And then you got your fucking whatever his name is, goalie that's been playing unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a fucking Stanley Cup contender team every single time. I think personally some of it has to be because of the state taxes in Florida because there's none.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
like
sure
a
that's
huge,
significant.
So I'm sure some people like fiscally put that into their decisions of staying there or leaving there.
Right. You can take it. You can probably take a pay cut as well, knowing that
Right.
you're making more anyway.
I think the Red Wings offered Stamkos like something ridiculous. Like it was gonna be a max contract at the time for like 11 years.
I remember. Yeah.
And
he still turned it down.
He turned it down and signed like a $2 million a year less deal with Tampa, which I did the math because I was salty at the time. Without taxes, I think he's making more money in Tampa.
That makes
So
sense.
that's a competitive advantage for those teams.
Yeah.
But regardless of the taxes, bottom line, Stevie Y has done an amazing job with that team. He hasn't won a cup, but he's gone fucking close several times. And that type of leadership just back into Hockey Town, just Yzerman being back in general, guarantee you that'll bring a huge morale to the Red Wings. Every time that fucker's at a game and they put the camera on him, the fans will go fucking nuts.
Really?
Every single time, dude. When we were at, I went to the Winter Classic game with the alumni at Comerica Park.
Yeah.
And when he came out on the ice, everybody lost their shit. Like, Stevie Y, Stevie Y. And then other chants like, Stevie, Stevie.
That's insane.
Dude, he's the fucking captain, dude. Captain of the Red Wings. when you suck for 50 years and you turn shit around for your team, and then you're that leader, you're that fucking guy that blows out your fucking knee, and you still play the rest of the playoffs and you outperform and you're fucking winning, and you just have that desire, and you're so humble, and you're such a good leader that everybody around you fucking idolizes you and they respect your leadership and your work ethic. It's
Jesus Christ, that was an infinite list of compliments.
Dude, Stevie Y is a G.
Get off his dick,
I don't
though.
think you understand. You're fucking Jonathan Taves. Ask him who his idol is.
Why do you're acting like I've called Taves the best captain in the world or
Sidney
some
Crosby,
reason.
ask him who his idol is.
I understand Stevie Y is an all-time great.
Yes, like top fucking 15, top 10 all-time great.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's going to be the GM of the Red Wings, bitch.
I guess we'll see.
And we got all these prospects just like Tampa did. He's going to turn shit around. And he's known for making a lot of trades.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trades. Like Tampa makes trades every year. And usually it's based off salary cap friendly trades and just drama or whatever. But he always gets like the better end of the deal. Like I can't think of one trade where they were like, damn, Tampa got fleeced there.
Right.
Like Ottawa. or Montreal.
Speaking of Ottawa, the poor sops.
Today, like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago,
Yeah, it was very recent.
Eric Carlson got traded.
He's been in the trade negotiations for a while, I think, right?
Yeah. Like, I think in the last year, or maybe in the beginning of this year's, when hockey first started, so I guess that's last year around this time. Anyways, he was saying that he's not going to re-sign a team-friendly or a cap-friendly contract. And he said that he believes that hockey players deserve more money than they already get, which if you compare how much work and how much damage they put on their bodies compared to other sports,
Right.
absolutely true. I don't know how far, as far as the ratings
Yeah.
and how the money trickles down, I don't know if that makes, like, I don't know the behind the scenes on that, but I completely agree that hockey players deserve more money.
Same.
And he said that he's not going to accept anything less. He said he's going to go, if he'll test the free agency, and if he's going to get a huge deal somewhere else, he's going to take it. Like, fuck loyalty if you're not going to get paid.
He's in it for the money.
Right, which, that, and also there's drama that happened with Matt Hoffman?
Matt Hoffman.
Yeah, Matt Hoffman's girl. She was, like, harassing Eric Carlson's wife, and I don't necessarily know what she was saying, but allegedly it was like cyberbullying, and it was related to the death of their child, was stillborn.
That's shitty.
Which, if that, like, fuck that bitch.
I don't understand.
You fucking cunt.
How do you joke
serious?
about that?
You can't even joke about something like that. Like, that.
That's off limits to even speak about.
Dude, if that happened to me, I don't even know what would happen. Like, I could just, like, feel my heart just drop.
Yeah.
And, like, it's horrible. I've had a stillborn in my family, and like not like in my immediate family, it's my uncle.
Sure.
And I seen how devastated he was, and I just can't imagine that shit. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And you got this fucking bitch that's just, if she was talking shit, fuck you. Like, fuck you and fuck your husband. Like, what is he compared to Eric Carlson as far as hockey, and as far as Ottawa?
Right.
Eric Carlson is Ottawa. He's the modern day Lindstrom. Not as good as Lindstrom, but he's the modern day Lindstrom, putting up almost a point a game player, and his defense is getting better. It's not on Lindstrom's level. His IQ is not on Lindstrom's level, but offensively, he is the best offensive defenseman in the league.
Right. He's a huge factor for his team, especially in like the amount of minutes that he gets.
Oh, yeah, dude, he's an Iron Man with that shit.
So, all that in mind, just today,
Where'd he get traded, man?
the San Jose Sharks.
Fuck that team.
That's disgusting.
I hate them.
This is a defensive powerhouse.
They're everything powerhouse.
Yeah,
You serious?
seriously. All San Jose had to give up for this to Ottawa was Chris Tierney. I believe he's a center.
Do you know any of them?
I know none of these names. Dylan DeMello, I believe he's also a center. Josh Norris, I think he's a left wing. Rudolph Balsers, I have no idea what position he plays. A 2020 first and a 2019 second.
Those are conditional, though.
No, they're not. There are 2 extra conditional picks.
Oh, that's right. So it could potentially be 3 first-round draft picks and a second.
Right. I think one of the conditions was if San Jose makes the finals, their second pick turns into a first. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things I talked to you about before, since you mentioned Hoffman. If Eric Carlson goes to an Eastern team in 2018, 2019, they get an extra first-round pick.
So what does that have to do with Hoffman?
That happened to Hoffman when he was traded.
Oh, really?
He went back to an Eastern team and he ended up facing against Ottawa. And they're like, great, we're not going to let that happen again. So they instituted a little Hoffman condition.
They learned from their mistakes.
They learned, yeah. So.
Fuck, man. Out of all the teams, they had to go to the fucking San Jose Sharks.
I don't know why. Why them? Why would they do that?
Well, obviously they're contenders now. They've been contenders before.
Serious contenders.
But now they have. If Brent Burns does not play like shit like he did last year, and he plays like how he can play, getting 70 fucking points a year, getting 40 goals as a defenseman, and just unreal, could play any position, literally any position, because he could play forward as well. And he's a huge, big body and a really good defensive player when he wants to be. And then you got Mark-Edward Vlasic, who is probably top 3 defensive defensemen in the NHL.
I agree.
And now you got the offensive juggernaut of Erik Karlsson on top of your stacked offense.
Yeah, makes a lot of room for Burns to make a good year.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put Karlsson and Burns together, in my opinion. It
Have them on
depends.
separate lines.
Yeah, it's not bad to spread the talent. And also, I don't know how well they play together because Karlsson likes to score and Brent Burns likes to score.
Sure.
So sometimes I'm sure San Jose will be caught with their defenseman up too high in the in the opposing team's zone. So if that happens and you get caught against like a Larkin or a McDavid, they're going to get a breakaway because they're way faster. But you put Vlasic with Karlsson, who only gives a fuck about defense.
And he's staying back. Karlsson gets
and you give
room to play
Karlsson,
forward.
Yeah, you give Karlsson a little bit of extra space and a little bit more confidence that he knows that if he takes this risk to get this puck and the board is over here, Vlasic has his back, that's only going to make him play better.
That's true.
That's
fucking nuts.
It's scary, man.
San Jose contenders.
Yeah, I'm excited for NHL, man. I'm excited for this shit. I've been talking about it like a lot, nonstop. I'm like that though.
Yeah.
I talk about the off season, or when it's the off season, I talk about hockey like non-fucking stop because I miss it. But then when I have it, I watch it for like a month, and then I just don't watch it anymore. And I don't know why I do that, man. I can literally watch hockey and just fucking love it.
It doesn't help that we don't have cable. So it's not easy to watch. We got to find a fucking stream. We got to put it on.
Who got
quality
cable
shitty.
nowadays? Man, we need to...
Losers.
Is there a way to just buy the package that's just the sports package?
I'm sure everybody has looked that up at one point or another. That's not an option.
ESPN Plus, do they have like hockey?
I have ESPN Plus.
I know. They need to make like a fucking NBC SN Plus where you can just watch the sports and shit. You know what I mean? Why not? I'd pay fucking $10 a month for that. $5 a month, whatever it is. Why don't they do that? That's like the new age, motherfucker.
There needs to be a streaming sports package for sure.
Yeah.
That's money waiting to be
$1 billion idea. If anybody makes that because of this fucking podcast, you guys owe me 1% royalty fees. 1% of 10%. There you go. That's a lot of money for me, bro.
Like 0.01%.
For real. But that's still a lot of money.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll be fucking just chilling, balling, just throwing money like that.
It'll probably be more like this.
Dude, if I had fuck you money, sometimes if Sam was sleeping too long and she just like that, I just get a whole bunch of money and just go and just keep throwing it on her face until she fucking woke up.
Is this your fantasy for when you have money? Is just irritating your girlfriend?
No, I don't fantasize about having money. That would be fucking funny though.
It would be, yeah.
So, I wanted to talk about Ken Holland.
Okay.
Because Ken Holland has 2 years left on his contract, and
Ken Holland, the current GM.
Yes, the current GM of the Red Wings. Because back to Steve Yzerman, everybody is like super excited, saying that he's going to be the Red Wings GM next year, which I also am hoping for. But in order for that to happen, Ken Holland needs to go because he has 2 years left on his contract, and the Red Wings aren't just going to fire him.
No.
You know what I mean? He's been around. I was looking up some shit today. He's been their GM for 35 fucking years.
I can't even imagine that kind of commitment to
35 years, dude. That's unreal. He was literally their GM when they first started, like when they were shit. And he slowly built them up to this fucking powerhouse. And then through amazing scouting, kept them the powerhouse that they were and amazing free agency signings and trades and shit for 25 years of success. Literally 25 years of success and 4 cups. So they're not going to fire Ken Holland. Like, even if some people may criticize his moves now, which I think last year a lot of his moves at the trade deadline were great, and I think his free agency signings this year were great. Just because of his past success of 35 years, they're going to let him retire there if he wants to.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, there are rumors that he wants to be the GM of the new Seattle team when we have another expansion. I don't know when that expansion is going to be. I'm pretty sure they already got their arena approved and all that shit. So I don't know if it's next year or the year after that. But if it is next year and he leaves, he bounces, that's perfect for Yzerman. Or worst case scenario, he comes to Detroit and he's a senior advisor for us for a year, and then he becomes GM.
Right. So he's stepping down as GM this year to a senior advisory role, and then the next year, since Ken Holland will still be there, he takes another senior advisory role to ease himself back into the team, take the GM role once Ken Holland leaves.
Yeah.
Is that the game plan?
Which would suck. I don't want to wait 2 years for Stevie, but
don't be impatient, man.
I mean, 2 years from now, imagine how good the Red Wings will be.
Right. Your young studs have a couple years experience under them.
Dude, we got a lot of young studs.
It's basically all young studs.
I know.
With a couple dads in there teaching them.
They're not. When I say studs, though, they're not like elite
prospects.
They're not elite prospects, where you see them like a McDavid or like a Austin Matthews, and you immediately know that they're gonna be a fucking franchise player.
It's just a lot of potential.
We have players that can become franchise players, and we have players that can become all-stars, but it all depends on their growth and how they play the game, bottom line. Like, we have Mantha, who can he has the body and the shot and the skill to become a 40-goal-a-year player, kind of like a Marian Hossa.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Like, in Grand Rapids, he was super lazy. But that was because he had no drive down there.
Yeah, no
Up
motivation.
here, he seems like he's a lot more motivated. Larkin seems like he has a huge amount of hunger. Every interview I've heard of his this whole postseason, I guess it's postseason, he's criticizing himself and saying he needs to get better. Like, last year was terrible. The year before that, there's no excuses there's no reason why he can't be a better player. And he said he's working really, really hard, and he expects a lot more from himself.
It's true. A lot of the Detroit players, I should say, have been underachieving in that way. So
yeah, and I don't know if that's coaching, if that was the morale of the team, whatever it was. Like, I do not like Jeff Blashill compared to Mike Babcock.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Babcock, in my opinion, is the best coach in the NHL.
Bar none?
Bar none. Maybe Joel Quenneville might be number 2, but even saying that, I don't know, because Chicago's kind of sucking right now, and he's having a hard time motivating players. Like, how come Jonathan Toews has been fucking playing like shit recently? The only person that plays well on their team is Kane now.
Yeah.
Fucking, what's his name? Defenseman. No. Not Seabrook. Duncan Keith. He didn't have that well of a year, did he? Seabrook was outperforming him. And, like, weren't they going to, like, scratch Seabrook at one time? I don't know. Maybe, I'm sure there's, like, Chicago fans like, fuck you guys. You know what the fuck you're talking about.
Clearly.
But
it is interesting. Wondering what motivates these players. And it's got to be more than just, like, physical attributes, what's going on with their body. Because, like we said, with the NFL players, these are all the best players in the world. So it's got to be mentally driven. It's got to be motivation. It's got to be how hard they're working.
Right.
How they want to work.
Yeah, because there's a lot. I'm sure you got the Carmelo Anthonys in every sport where they're super, super talented and they work just enough to be where they deem is acceptable.
Don't tell that shit to Carmelo.
Well, that's what I'm only saying this just from what you told me about him.
I mean, the way he plays, yes.
And then you got the LeBron Jameses who fucking work nonstop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what separates the people who could be great with the people that are great.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
It really is. And I'm also excited because we got a new assistant coach with the Red Wings. And just overall, it's a fucking good feeling, bro.
High hopes for the Red Wings. Let's see if they underachieve as usual.
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. Let me state that right now. Okay. But they will be a fun, entertaining team to watch. They'll be fast. They'll be flashy.
Furious.
Maybe a couple people. The Red Wings aren't known for fighting. Come on. We got Zach Rakowski still. And Anthony Mantha fights, which, fun fact, Zach Rakowski, who we signed last year, him and Mantha fought the year before that. And Mantha was out like half the fucking year because he broke his hand punching the shit out of Zach Rakowski. And like they're like really dope friends now. Like I see them on Instagram all the time fishing and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
You fight somebody, you're friends with them after. Like you gain respect for
I
somebody.
don't think that's a definitive sweeping generalization that you can make at all.
It is for the most part.
You're friends all the time with someone you fight with.
No. Not all the time. But after you fight somebody, you gain a little bit more respect for them.
What if you just beat their ass and then they like run away?
Then that's different. That wasn't a fight.
What? Is
them.
It not?
No, that's you jumping them and they're running away.
What?
Like if you're fighting somebody and they're not willing to fight back, that's not.
I
a
didn't
fight.
say that.
So
I said they get to beat their ass beat. It was a one-sided fight, and then the guy just runs away. Not you, the person doing the beating.
Sure. Oh, the person doing the beating ran away?
No. You know what? Forget it. Clearly, you're not understanding the metaphor I'm trying to throw out, and I'm not sure there's an actual point to it. So, we'll forget it. So, what's going on in
MMA?
The world of MMA.
Honestly, it's been kind of quiet.
Kind of chill. It's the calm before the storm, most likely.
Yes, it's the aftermath of UFC 228. Like the number one thing in the news right now is why did Dana White leave? Everybody's still pissed off at Dana.
Of course.
And I obviously, if you heard last week's podcast, is warranted because I think Dana's a fucking douchebag for not doing what he should have done. You're gonna dog Woodley, then you better back it up if he fucking
proves you wrong.
Like he literally destroyed Darren Till. Darren Till threw one punch?
Yep.
And got submitted in the second round. Woodley dominated him in every sense of the word. Dominated him.
It was not very competitive.
That's what you wanted from him. That's literally what you wanted.
That's what everyone's been asking for. Yeah. No more boring fights. Actually, fight, will you?
So, I don't understand why he's salty as fuck. I just don't get it.
It's because he didn't get what he wants. Baby don't get what he wants. Baby throws a fit.
He didn't get what he wanted, but he also kind of did.
You got your superstar.
Right. Woodley is bigger than ever right now, and he's getting almost unanimous praise. Almost unanimous.
Do you think maybe it's intentional? Do you think Dana's using this negative hate towards himself to drive Tyron up in people's eyes? I don't know if he plays that kind of 3D chess.
I can totally see him being smarter than the average fan, and even smarter than fans like us.
I mean, he's
the
started
promoter.
The business.
Yeah, he's the promoter.
You got to imagine.
I'm sure there's times when Vince McMahon's it makes himself become the bad guy to promote other people for sure. Which I never thought about. That was a good maybe yes.
It's possible.
Very possible.
He's never shied away from being the bad guy. Literally never.
Yeah. But he has shied away from owning up to when he's wrong.
It's also true. So it could be a combination of both.
Based off his past experiences, it seems like he's just a salty Sally right now. But that being said, that fight, he pretty much took no damage. So there's been alleged rumors that he may be the main event for UFC 230 against Colby Covington. But Chael Sonnen found out after the fight. Woodley did an interview with Ariel Helwani and Chael for ESPN.
Yeah.
And Chael just fucking asked him right off rip what happened to his thumb. I think it was his thumb. It was pulled out of a socket. So depending on how his finger is, and if there's no surgery that needs to be done, or if there's no physical therapy that needs to be done, he could potentially bounce back and fight for the main event at 230 against Kobe. And I honestly think you're gonna call me crazy.
Okay.
You're gonna call me crazy.
I'm gonna call you crazy.
I think Kobe versus Woodley could potentially be one of the biggest fights of all time.
What?
I think Woodley versus Kobe could be one of the biggest fights of all time. And I'll tell you why.
This is on the same card as the Nate Diaz fight?
Yes, main event. And I think it could be one of the biggest fights, one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time.
Why?
Because you got, on one end, Colby Covington. Extremely notorious. Lots of sound bites. People either love him or they love to hate him. There's no in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is on this huge right-wing agenda, this trend, and he's pushing this agenda better than anybody as far as promoting yourself to be a Trump fan. You know what I mean?
I suppose so.
He's always wearing the magma hat. And he's
magma?
whatever it's called.
MAGA.
I played Pokemon.
Team Magma.
He's always talking shit. He's always saying some shit's just some of it's so cringy. He was on Ariel Helwani's podcast last week, or Monday, and he was talking about I wasn't watching that fucking fight. I was too busy having threesomes. It's oh, come on, bro. Out of all the things you could have said, why are you saying you're too busy having threesomes? You know your ass ain't having threesomes all the time. And even if you are, who brags about them like that? That's just so weird. You're bragging to try to be cool. And I don't know. That's just me hating on him. I've always hated on him. Mm-hmm. I respect his fight game. I really do. After watching him against RDA, I'm this guy's legit. Mm-hmm. He looks like a contender for sure. But I think he has. If the UFC can market this the right way, he can bring a huge following to this fight. I'm not lying.
You're paying this out to be a right versus left thing?
Yes, I am. A race thing too. Because wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
Kobe also went to visit Trump.
Yeah.
Dana knows Trump. They're friends. So if he can somehow get Trump to fucking even just mention Kobe, then you got all these fucking the Trump supporters that are super, I don't even know what you want to call it, dick riding with Trump, whatever.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying there's people that are like that.
They're on the Trump chain.
Whatever Trump's doing, they will support it no matter what. Mm-hmm. And if Kobe is supported by Trump, then he got all these extra fans as well.
It's true.
And then you got on the other side, you got Woodley, who is from Ferguson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from Ferguson. Grew up in a shitty area. You got the controversy of Ferguson. You got the controversy of Woodley always saying that the UFC's treating him like shit. And you got the controversy of just the negative shit that's happened to him. And now he's finally gotten recognition, stardom. So you got Woodley, who's releasing a rap album in a week, right?
Yeah.
Who's fucking grown up in a bad area, I guess you could say, in Ferguson.
Sure.
Who he said he's been in gangs in the past. He's dealt with shit like that. And then on the other side, you got the right wing, and then you got the Trump supporter, and you got the guy who's just really, really controversial and notorious. It's going to bring up a huge support for both sides. And if they market this the right way, I'm not saying I'm going to like the marketing.
Sure.
Because I hate when politics are brought in the shit.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. Like, me personally, I'm the person, believe whatever you want to believe. As long as it's not affecting other people, I'm down with it. Right. I don't care.
Mind your own business.
Right. But they could market this as a right versus left. They really could. And Kobe would eat that shit up in the marketing. He knows how to fuck it. He knows how to do that. So it could potentially be a sleeper for one of the biggest fights of all time. And I know that's crazy saying that because we literally got McGregor and Khabib. But if you get the fucking political pressure and you get the political just audience, and it's going to be on the news consistently on every mainstream channel, if it is promoted the right way, even on just local news and shit, people will tune in. People will. There'll be people that want to see Kobe beat Tyron's ass, and there'll be people that want Woodley to smash Kobe.
I want Woodley to smash Kobe.
No shit. I want Woodley to smash Kobe.
Does that sound like we're like waiting for gay porn? Because that's kind of what that sounds like to me.
No, I don't want Woodley to smash Kobe because I don't like Kobe. I know what Kobe's doing. Yeah. Everybody knows what Kobe's doing. Yeah. He's
playing the game.
Yes. He's being the baby face right now.
Other way.
What's the other guy?
Heel.
He's being the heel. My bad.
Learn your WWE phrases, man.
And if Woodley plays the baby face, or even if he just plays like
he can just play the role he plays.
Right. So this could be a huge fight, dude. It really could.
I honestly didn't think you were going to pull the politics out on that because I'm going to be honest with you about something.
Uh-oh.
I read your notes.
Come on, man. Why do you read my shit?
Because I write my own shit on the same fucking website. You use my Trello, you fool. Don't blame me.
Quit reading my fucking diary. I'm not going to say it again.
I also noticed, I'll have to double check it. But
don't act like I spelled shit wrong because I put this bitch in Microsoft Word and I fucking auto-checked my shit.
I saw that you listed Tyron versus Colby, and then the very next line was like, biggest fight of all time. I was like, I think he missed something about Conor versus Khabib there.
Right.
Let's see. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Because then I had like the little bullet point. Could be the biggest fight of all time.
And then at the very bottom, Verdum suspended for 2 years.
Yes, he just got
You know his name is spelled with a W, not a V, right?
Verdum.
It's pronounced that way, but it's spelled with a W, you idiot.
Well, excuse me. Microsoft Word sometimes doesn't correct it to the right name.
That's why you don't use Word to proof check.
But yeah, he did get suspended for 2 years. And Mark Hunt was... he was like, super happy about it. He's like, fuck that guy. Because they fought before.
Yeah.
It was an amazing fight. Verdum finished him in the last round. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of shitty because if you watch, I'll look up Mark Hunt's record right now.
He does get really unlucky when it comes to the type of opponents that he faces.
I'm almost positive he's only lost to steroid users. I'm almost positive.
100%.
I'm almost like
100%
as far
of his losses. I mean?
As far as in the UFC.
That would be shitty.
Yeah, once Dalton's fucking slow ass MacBook loads up, I can show you.
You're welcome to buy your own, motherfucker.
But what do you think about? Don't ask me that. What do you think about Kobe? And do you think that I'm crazy talking here, or do you think that could be potentially true?
I would not be surprised in the slightest. That seems like the exact kind of fire that Trump and Kobe would fan themselves. I honestly didn't think about it at all, so it's difficult to say. But I don't know how much Dana and the UFC, especially the new UFC, who's trying to be super commercial friendly, not super commercial friendly, but I don't think they want to get too far on people's bad sides.
I think Dana would love this shit.
You think so? I think Dana would.
It's a promoter's dream.
I'm specifically talking about the UFC, whatever their board is.
Maybe ESPN. The board, I think, would like it too because controversy brings money. Bottom line.
This is like bad controversy, I think. racial conflict.
It depends on how crazy it gets. If Kobe starts saying racist shit, then yeah. I think he knows
The limit.
He's crossed the line a few times. But
so he knows where it is.
He knows where it is, and he won't cross the racial line, I don't think.
I hope not. If it turns into that, then I'm not about it at all.
For real. If I agree with you. I don't think it's going to, though. I think it'll just be close. It'll be close. It'll be Kobe talking shit about Woodley, Tyquill Woodley, boring fighter, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what he calls him in that. Yeah. And then Woodley will be there just saying he's going to fuck him up.
That's what I'm expecting, yeah.
So, back to Mark Hunt. I was completely wrong. His last loss was his last fight was Curtis Blades, who's...
He may be on steroids. We don't know. We'll find out in 5 fucking years.
Curtis Blades is going to be the heavyweight champ at some point.
You think so?
For real. He reminds me of a bigger Daniel Cormier. Do you remember when he fought Alistair?
Mm-hmm.
And he fucking brutalized him on the ground?
I was surprised. But I honestly thought it was a bit of a fluke, just because I don't know very much about Curtis Blades.
Curtis has beat some really, really top tier players. So he beat back to Mark Hunt. He lost to Curtis Blades, then he beat Derek Lewis. Mm-hmm. Then he lost to Overeem, steroids.
Yep.
Lesnar, steroids.
Yep.
He beat Frank Mir. He beat Bigfoot Silva.
Steroids.
Miocic, not steroids. Mm-hmm. Then Verdum, steroids. Then he beat Roy Nelson. Then he lost it was a draw with Bigfoot Silva, steroids. Mm-hmm. Junior Dos Santos lost. He was allegedly caught with steroids, but I believe they said that it was a tainted supplement. So we won't count that one.
Sure. And
then if you go down, so that's his UFC career.
Yeah. That's still an incredibly high percentage.
So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of 6 losses and 1 no contest, only 2 of them, only 2 possibly 3 weren't steroid users.
I'm wondering how that compares to other fighters in the same weight class. Like, what are their records against steroid users? Do you have to be a steroid user to beat a steroid user? I know, obviously, Miocic beats whoever he wants.
I'm going to say, Miocic has beat Ngannou. He beat Dos Santos. He beat Overeem. He beat Verdum. He's just a G. He lost to Junior Dos Santos before. Dude, he's one of the only heavyweights that consistently, him and Cain Velasquez have such a huge track record of win streaks.
Yeah.
The rest of the heavyweights win loss.
It's typically a very volatile
he's fucking 18-3.
Weight class.
18-3.
It's insane. And he got dethroned by a fat chicken man.
Don't talk about one of the fucking best human beings on the planet that.
I do love Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier is a G. He's 21-1, son.
You used to have all these fighter stats just on a sticky note on a laptop or something.
I'm sure, dog.
Researching while talking. It's perfect.
So, I don't know why you brought Verdum up.
Because you spelt it wrong, you fucking
fun
idiot.
Of my spelling. First of all, go fuck yourself.
And you wanted to talk about it, so fuck you.
Second of all, I wanted to talk about the UFC 230 main event.
So, one of the possibilities is Tyron versus Kobe, you said.
Right, which I think would be the best option.
What are the other options?
Other options, I was looking up John Jones recently because I'm like, what the fuck's going on with him? I never heard shit about him, but he's been out in the news lately. He's been doing media calls. He's been doing interviews and shit like that. So I'm like, is he getting his name out here because are they going to announce something soon? Because if he only gets suspended for 1 year and they say it's a tainted supplement or whatever, whatever bullshit they want to convince everybody to justify this fight. Me personally, that guy's a cheater.
I agree.
Cheater no matter what. USADA's only tested him twice this year. I don't want to hear shit about USADA being this fucking clean, there's nothing fishy going on in there. There's something fishy going on in there.
I agree.
So, but regardless, that tossed to the side. I could totally see them saying John Jones suspended for 1 year, but he's already fucking served his sentence technically because you serve it the day you get suspended or the day you get caught. So it's been a year since he's fought,
So technically his prison time will be up by 2:30.
Right. So potentially John Jones, and it's either going to be Jones versus Cormier or Jones versus Gustafsson, I feel.
Which would you prefer? Gus?
Yes. For 2 reasons. One, it would devastate me if John Jones beats Daniel Cormier a 3rd time. That second fight hurt my soul.
Yeah. When the tears started falling for me too. 2,
Gustafsson versus John Jones was one of the best fights of all time. And I would love to see that fight again. And I think this is the only way we see that fight again is if they just make it right now. I don't see them two fighting again in the near future.
After some build-up, yeah, I don't think so either.
It would, like, Daniel Cormier and Jones would have to fight first, and then Jones would have to win, and then Gustafsson would have to come back and maybe get a title shot, but I don't think he's going to get a title shot right off rip.
Right, he needs another win himself.
Mm-hmm. And then who knows what happens. Like, you can't rely on
Yeah, you can't bank on that.
Because when you try to pick fights ahead of time and you try to, like, predict things, that's usually when shit goes south.
Yeah. I think the UFC's kind of gotten better at it. We're seeing less and less fights end up dropped out, I think.
As far as, like, getting canceled in that?
Mm-hmm. For unforeseen circumstances
you
like
just
that.
jinxed the 229.
It's all right. We got a lot of time.
So John Jones versus DC or Gustafsson could be an option.
Mm-hmm.
Some other options that I've thought of is if
theorized.
Nick Diaz, I think he's going to return at some point. So why not 230, right? Fight same card with his brother makes sense.
Even though they said they don't want to do that. Specifically.
They said they don't want to fight each other.
No, they said they don't want to fight on the same card.
Did they?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't have these reasons. I just know what they said.
Sounds like some fucking fake news shit, Kobe.
I'll look it up. Keep doing your thing.
Well, if he comes back, who should he fight? He definitely should not get a title shot right off rip. Yes, he has the huge stardom. No. He has a name behind him, but come on. No. I'm a huge Diaz fan, but I don't think he should get a title shot right off rip.
Sure.
Maybe GSP, but I don't think nobody wants to see that fight again right now. Like, I feel like you got to build Nick Diaz's name up again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that he's lost recognition by no means. I'm saying all the hardcore fans in MMA know Nick Diaz, but casuals don't.
Mm-hmm. Do they know? I feel like he's still like one of the name brands, quote unquote.
Kind of, but they don't know his fucking amazing fights with Lawler and some of the shit that he's done in Strikeforce, you know?
Sure.
Like with his fucking knockout win of Paul Daly and BJ Penn's ass whooping and like all kinds of shit. A lot of those guys didn't watch back then, or if they did, they probably fucking forgot because they're casual retards, you know? And so I was thinking, like, who else would it be? And I think Robbie Lawler 2. Lawler versus Diaz 2 would be a good fight. Lawler's coming back from an injury, which I think he's going to be healthy soon. I think he might be cleared to fight sooner or later. And Nick Diaz has been off for fucking 4 years.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like a good
warm-up fight
for both of them.
Sure, yeah. And Lawler hasn't exactly looked up to form lately, so going up against someone like Nick Diaz, who's had such a long time off.
Was his last fight Cowboy?
I think so.
So did it go Woodley then Cowboy? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I feel like there's one more in there.
Did he lose? Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Dude, he's a fucking beast. Robbie Lawler is a fucking beast. He's one of those few people that has had multiple surges in their career.
Yeah.
Like in the very beginning, he was one of those crazy knockout artists that nobody really wanted to fight.
When he had hair?
Yeah. And then he had a down moment where he was like literally didn't care. He's falling asleep on interviews and shit like that. Then he turned his fucking fight game around and became a fucking champion, one of the most entertaining fighters. That's what it was. He lost to Woodley, then he beat Cowboy, and then he lost to RDA. Right. RDA beat that ass.
Yeah, that's what I'm remembering.
Yeah.
So Nick Diaz, this was in an interview in 2016. He says, "I don't like to fight on the same card as anyone I train with, or my brother especially. I think fighting is a selfish sport. You ain't got time to think about anybody else but yourself, you know? For the training leading up to the fight, it should all be about you.
That does make a lot of sense.
Or whoever the guy's fighting.
So maybe that's out of the question. But if it does happen, I would like to see Lawler versus Diaz too. Another option that I that I thought of was Joanna versus Shevchenko.
That is not what you wrote. You wrote Shevchenko. That's another thing I was trying to read. Joanna versus Shevchenko? Who the fuck is that?
Close enough. It's my notes. I just need to have them legible enough for me to comprehend what they mean.
Once a month, I'm calling out your fucking diary, man.
You've done it like 3 weeks in a row.
No, I haven't. This is the first time I've read it since that first incident. I've been respectful.
Bro. You hurt my feelings. Anyways,
I try to.
Shevchenko hasn't fought. She just had a fight camp. She's ready to go.
She's yearning for it.
Yeah, and Joanna realistically is not getting a title shot anytime soon.
Right.
Until
Rose.
What division is that? Bantamweight? No,
that's fly.
Flyweight.
Fly or feather?
Flyweight. That's flyweight. She's not getting a title shot against Rose, so she's gonna have to wait until Jessica Andrade or Rose fight.
Because we know what's gonna happen.
No, we don't know what's gonna happen. But basically, we have to wait. She has to wait until Rose isn't the champ anymore.
Yeah.
Or she has to clear literally everybody out, and they finally give her a third crack at her, which that would be a while from now. So they could easily have her go up to 125 because 125 needs stardom, and they need competition because Shevchenko will fuck everybody up in that division.
Mm-hmm. It's
Joanna,
almost like a cyborg situation.
yeah, Joanna will be a good matchup against her. Shevchenko's 3-0 against her in Muay Thai, but MMA is way different than Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Joanna's gotten a lot better since then. It'll be way more of a competitive fight than any other fight in that division. And it's pretty much almost like a super fight.
It is. That's probably the most competitive fight for both of them right now.
Yeah.
I like that, actually. I like that pick.
It'll be a really, really, really high-level striking match.
For real.
Really, really high level. I just hope Joanna's... That's the thing, too. At 125, how much better is Joanna's chin going to be? You know? 125, she might feel better because she drains herself a lot. She cuts a lot of weight to make 115. There was times in the past that she was saying she only has a few more fights at 115 than she's moving up to 125.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it makes sense. Obviously, she don't want to do it right now because she wants to be the champ. She wants to earn her title back, which obviously I understand. But it's not happening anytime soon. So why not go up and try to win the 125?
Right, get that title first.
And then you can make a super fight with anybody who's the champ.
Right, even if it's still Rose.
Right. So that'll be I think that... So I don't even know like which one's the most realistic option. I'm leaning towards Woodley Colby is the most realistic option. It depends on Woodley's hand, and it depends on how much they pay Woodley to make him have such a fast turnover.
Right.
Bottom line.
He may just not be interested in Kobe.
And then the last one I wrote down was Henry versus TJ. Super fight.
Henry Cejudo?
Yes, Cejudo versus TJ. TJ was just on Joe Rogan's podcast talking all kinds of shit about Henry.
Really?
Yeah, because Henry has been trying. He's been kind of like
trying to call him out.
Oh, he's been calling him out, but I think he's a little too high on his britches.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, because he is saying that he is the best MMA or no, some kind of athlete of all time because he has a gold medal in wrestling and he has a UFC belt. So he's declaring himself like the best fighter or the best combat sports. That's what it was. The best combat sports athlete of all time. I'm like, I mean, gold medal, yes, 100%. Congratulations on that. You beat one of the best fighters of all time for the belt. Sure, it was not a one-sided beatdown at all.
No.
It's controversial because some people thought Mighty Mouse won, and you haven't defended the belt at all,
Right?
Like, never. So for you to call yourself that, I mean, I respect the confidence,
Sure.
for sure, but slow your roll.
Yeah,
man.
you got to know your role.
And TJ was saying like he's calling himself the best combat sports athlete of all time because he has a gold medal. He's like, I'll beat his ass in wrestling. I'll beat his ass in wrestling, and then I'll beat his ass in fighting.
You think that's pretty founded? Because I think that's pretty founded. Like, I think that makes sense.
Them
TJ's side.
Yeah, and I think that, like, how convenient is it that TJ's on Joe Rogan's podcast? This is my conspiracy mind thinking.
Right.
Because Joe Rogan has sworn up and down that he's never had an agenda for MMA, for UFC. Like, he's never used his platform to promote. Like, UFC's never asked him to promote fighters on his podcast.
Well, when was that? When did he say that?
Recently. He's
okay.
always said it.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, come on.
You were saying he's gotten more commercial lately, right?
Yeah, he's gone more commercial, and so has Henry Cejudo. I think they went on, like, a tour run together for, like, a little tiny bit. They went to E. Is that where Mario Lopez is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Yeah, that's where they were there. They were talking shit to each other, like, as soon as Henry won the belt. And then now they're still taking jabs at each other. So that could also be a fight, main event for 230.
Interesting.
Any of those fights, I feel, other than, well, yeah, even if Nick Diaz, because Nick Diaz is Nate's older brother. I was trying to say, like, do they deserve to be the main event over Nate and Dustin?
Yeah.
But I could see them being, because they're all title fights except Nick Diaz and Lawler. But Nick Diaz, I could see him being the main event over Nate. You know what I mean?
Right, just for comeback purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
We'll see if I'm right. I have no idea if, like, none of these things are, like, proven
Based
yet.
on speculation. Or
This is
anything.
based off of, like, reports that I've read, theories that I've read and, like, thought of in myself, and pretty much is what's left as far as, like, what fights are booked and which fighters haven't fought recently. Pretty much the only options that I can think of.
Right, I think this covers most of it because there's a lot of fighters tied up right now.
Yeah, and they have to announce that shit sooner or later.
Yeah, they're supposed to announce it on the last card,
Right. Joe Rogan fucking lied.
Fuck you, Joe Rogan.
And that's another thing, too, that he's like, I can know something you don't know. And then TJ Dillashaw on the fucking podcast. Fuck out of here, Joe. We all see straight through.
Get out of here with your bait. Not feeling it.
Yeah. So, one more thing I want to talk about, which I was going to talk about, Conor and Khabib not having a press conference.
Yeah.
Because
seems like a wasted opportunity, right?
Well, all this week, there's been talks that, in like the past week, like, there's no press conferences because Conor just doesn't want to.
He just wants to train.
He wants to train. And, like, in my head, I'm like, fuck, I don't think that's necessarily the best idea for Conor. Like, yeah, get as much training as possible, but press conferences is kind of like part of your fight game. It's part of your fight style.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, does he really think that he can't get in Khabib's head? I'm like, I don't see Conor thinking that. I think he can get in anybody's head.
I don't think he's ever thought that in his life.
He thought he can get in Nate Diaz's head, you know? It's like, I feel like a press conference is going to greatly, for number one, it's going to make all kinds of buzz for the fight, which they don't need buzz. Right. But if you're trying to make this the biggest fight of all time in MMA and UFC, don't just barely break the record. Fucking set a new bar, you know? Set a new standard. Yeah. Do some fucking press, you know?
Some theatrics.
Yeah. You don't have to do a world tour like you did with Otto. And yeah, I understand the training is extremely important. I'm sure doing press sucks. I'm sure doing press when you're training and you're sore is annoying as fuck. But that is you. That's part of your shtick. Is you're the best talk shitter, almost like since Muhammad Ali talk shitter. Since Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's only going to benefit him, and it's not going to benefit Khabib in any way. I don't think there's any way it benefits Khabib unless Conor does something so outlandish and it doesn't faze Khabib. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if Conor is acting like a fucking circus clown up there.
And Khabib's just like, I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah, if Khabib's like that. But I think Conor's smarter than that. I think he knows which buttons to push. I think he knows which tactics to use to get under people's skin. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying he's necessarily going to get completely under Khabib's skin, but just what if?
It's definitely.
What if he does?
It's definitely a chance to put the other fighter below you before the fight even starts.
Yeah, and that's how he's won so many of his fights, is mentally breaking people before he gets in the octagon with them.
Mm-hmm. Saw with Eddie.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about that, like, I think this is a bad idea, Conor, but
they read your mind, didn't they?
Yeah, they called up Nick. They're like, Nick, what do we gotta do to make this fight even more exciting? And what do we gotta do to give Conor a chance? I'm like, listen, motherfuckers, all you gotta do is have a press conference, just one, just fucking one, and see what happens. Just see what happens. So it's September 20th in New York. Don't know what time.
Doesn't matter what time.
Yeah.
It's Khabib time.
I like it. But yeah, they're gonna have a fucking press conference, and I'm more excited for that than I am for this fucking fight card coming up Saturday.
I mean, yeah, me too.
Way more excited. So I don't know what to expect. I really don't. Which Conor are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the Conor that was doing press with like Nate for Nate Diaz too? Did that even make sense? Are we gonna get the Conor that was talking shit?
How many times are you going to try this sentence?
I'm going to try this one more time. Are we going to get the Conor that is extremely bashful?
Bashful.
Like he was against... I was making up my new word. You know, bashful.
Sure.
Like how he was against Eddie and like how he was against everybody else.
Just putting the pressure on him.
Excluding Nate for the second fight. Or are we going to get somebody that's just almost down to business and says a little bit of shit that he means, but ultimately doesn't get too crazy? I don't know. I would like to think that at first he's going to try to not get super outlandish, but all Khabib has to do is say one negative thing about Conor, and then Conor's just going to start going off. He's going to fucking eat that shit up. I'm not saying eat that shit up in the sense that he's going to mentally cripple Khabib. I'm saying eat that shit up as far as shit talking. Khabib is good at shit talking for somebody who's not really good at English.
It's true.
I'll give him that.
But
Conor's too loud. He knows how to shut people down when they're shit talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing about both of them is when they do shit talk, the reason that it works so well is because there's a really good record behind that shit talk. There's a lot of fucking like fear in yourself. Gotta be. I don't know how you don't have fear when you're facing off against Khabib or someone who's.
Well, they both believe that they're the best in the world.
Right. So that's where this conflict of big heads is gonna be really interesting.
You know, they're both working out. Conor's not working out harder than Khabib. Khabib's not working out harder than Conor. They both have amazing training camps. They're both doing what they need to do to be in the best. Sorry,
Okay,
Mike Tyson. They're both doing what they can to be in the best shape for this fight.
Yeah.
In the best position.
I could see Conor going into these press conferences with a no bullshit attitude because what's Khabib going to expect out of him? He's going to expect that shit talk. He's going to expect what happened to Eddie Alvarez. But if you go in there and you don't give him what he expects, he'd be like, wait, what?
Here's the thing. I can see Conor being emotional. Because of Artem Lobov.
Because of Artem?
Because Khabib grabbed his friend up by his neck
I
and
don't
punked
know.
him so hard. That's why the whole bus incident happened.
Sure. Also probably because McGregor probably wanted to make a scene.
For sure. He knows how to play the marketing.
He does, yeah.
Better than anybody.
Yeah.
So
take some lessons, Colby.
oh God, no! Please
don't. Never
be
mind.
doing that
Never
shit.
mind.
You got your shtick is fucking plenty. Don't do anything
No
more than
more.
you're doing right now, Kobe. Please, for the love of God, don't.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not a good idea.
Don't listen to Dalton. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you in the sense that it could be either Conor being surprisingly low profiled, or I can see him being outlandish as fuck.
I can see it, yeah.
I guess
It's got to be an extreme, right?
like, what if when they fucking face off, what if Conor slaps Khabib's hand like you did with Nate? Or what if he pushes him really hard? Like, what if some kind of physical altercation happens? Do you think Khabib's just gonna sit there? I think Khabib will fucking get emotional, personally.
I agree, yeah.
Because he's in some of his other stare downs, he's straight up pushed people.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets intense and he fucking, bitch, get away from me, you know? So, and there's a lot of tension with this fight. And there's a lot of emotions in this fight. I don't care what either one of them say that they're not going to emotionally fight. Like, there's going to be tension there. And if Conor can get Khabib more emotional, to me, that sets up another highlight reel knockout, Jose Aldo style. Because you get somebody emotional, the game plan goes out the window, and then they're just going to try to knock your fucking head off. And if that happens, it's going to be a terrible night for Khabib.
Yeah. I don't see it necessarily happening in a traditional way like the Aldo knockout, but I can definitely see maybe Khabib gets a takedown. Great. Just won the fight, didn't you? You got a takedown. And then if Conor at all gets up, I could see him catching Khabib off kilter, off toe. I don't know what that phrase is.
Dude, I think Conor's ground game is going to surprise some people.
I think so too. I've watched like a highlight reel of his training and his takedown defense.
Fuck
looks
out of here, this
stellar.
takedown defense. I'm not talking about his takedown defense. I'm talking about as far as getting back up to his feet and attacking from his guard. Like, I think he's going to stay busy the whole time when he's down. That's what I think.
It'd be interesting to see because no one's really been able to be successful on the back against Khabib. You don't even really ever get to your back, dude. You're in a fucking fetal position against the cage.
He really does do that to people, dude. God, Khabib, they're both masters of their craft. You got the master of the ground game. You got the master of stand-up.
We've said it countless times. It's the best of the best, and it's only going to go one way.
It's starting to feel real, though. Like, now that we got a press conference in the near future,
Yeah.
in like, what, 2 weeks? Something like that? Or is it next week?
You said the 20th? That's next
That's
Thursday.
fucking... Is it Thursday?
Yep, today's the 13th. You add 7 to that.
Fuck. It's Thursday? I'm fucking nervous, dude.
It'll be exciting for sure.
Yeah, Wolfie. I'm about done. Let's wrap this shit up, dude.
Let's do it. Okay.
So, if you guys enjoyed, this was kind of a different podcast. We kind of talked about some personal shit at first, which I personally like doing. I like letting people in, just to let you guys know that we're human.
We're people.
Yeah. We have feelings, man. Don't fucking make fun of us. Just fucking talk shit about Dalton, not me. I can tell you guys some things that he's sensitive about if you really want me to.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Cut. If you guys like this podcast, rate it, subscribe it, send it to somebody who else. Somebody. Send it to somebody who you think's gonna like it.
Yeah. You also check out our website, pnacast.com. You can also check out our YouTube, our SoundCloud, our iTunes.
Not SoundCloud. Quit saying SoundCloud.
Go to our SoundCloud. See how poor of a job Nick did uploading this.
2
3
episodes up there. There's a fucking limit to how many you can upload on SoundCloud, and I don't want to fucking spend more money on SoundCloud. Who listens on SoundCloud? I've never once heard of anybody that listens to the podcast only on SoundCloud. If you're gonna listen to a podcast on SoundCloud, you could probably find it somewhere else. Like, I feel like if you're going to SoundCloud to listen to a podcast,
Fucking up.
it's because you're a fan of that podcast. So you'll look at it elsewhere.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, we know you're a fan, so go to SoundCloud. I'm not going to stop advertising it.
Fuck SoundCloud. Are you getting paid by SoundCloud, dude? If you also like NBA 2K, check out the Motor City My League series on YouTube. We're almost done with the first season.
Yeah, we're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it's NBA 2K18 right now, but NBA 2K19 just came out, so we're gonna try to transition our current team into NBA 2K19. That's all, Dalton.
I'm confident I can do it because we play on PC and computer allows you to edit a lot of the data that you can't normally do on consoles. So I can engineer. I can engineer a fake year 2 for us.
We let a tech guy deal with that shit.
But until next time, we will see you guys later.
Peace out, crackheads.